Have y'all thought about it more?
Yeah, a little bit.
So, I didn't get to watch their whole video yet,
Mhm.
but just based off of the state diagram we had made,
Mm-hmm.
the doors it'd be open whenever it first starts, but they should be closed. So, would you?
Does it have to be closed when it first starts?
I think that's what it said. I can double check.
Oh, then I might need to change mine.
But you'd only need to add a state at the beginning, and then no matter what, it just on the clock cycle, it just goes to the next one.
Yeah,
But and then those states would be coming back to that one.
right.
Okay.
It would only be the very starting one. But do check on that, because if that is the case, I'll want to make sure that I say something about it.
Says the elevator should remain at rest until someone presses a button. The door is closed in a rest state.
Ah. Okay, that's okay. So maybe that just means that our starting should be not
Our default should be.
the floor one door closed and not floor one door open.
Yeah.
So, okay, so this was the point that was just made to me was that in the instructions it says that the elevator should start at rest, and if no button is pressed it should remain at rest. And we kind of have that in our state diagram where we have that our default was always to stay where you were, right?
Right.
Yes, the default was to stay where you were. Yeah, I have that as default here. It doesn't look like I drew it in on the others. Well, no, only for the closed floor. Yeah, for if it's open, you're supposed to go to the next one. But if it's on a closed floor, the default is to stay where it is. And so, so I think the only thing we would need to change is to have the very, very entry point be floor one door closed.
So, but if you move it to the top, would you need to make an additional one and not just move it to the top?
I don't think so.
If you just move it to the top, so you're saying basically switch it with the door one open?
No. So I'm still saying that other floors, so if this is the 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, so these are all floor ones. And 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, and 3, 1, 3, 2, 3, 3. This bottom row here is the door closed. And when you go to another floor, you always go to the door open state of that floor. So if I'm going from floor 3 to floor 1, I'm still going to go here. And if I'm going from floor 2 to floor 1, I'll go here. And from floor 2 to floor 1, I'll go here. I'll still always do that. I'm just saying my entry point for when I turn this on is going to be that I start in this state. But
Yeah, that makes sense.
it makes sense to me, but it doesn't seem like it's making sense to you.
I don't know.
She's just saying, like, you can just use, you don't have to make like a new state.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
just use
I don't-
that same state.
Yeah. Why would I need to
Because
make
when
another
you
state?
go up to the, if you imagine going to the elevator, the door's closed already, so you don't have to do that again.
So.
I'll just watch you.
Okay, so here's our elevators. Right now, I come into the building, they're all closed. So they're all, and the elevator happens to be right here. And so that is floor 1, door closed.
Okay. I'm gonna think about it.
Okay,
I'm not convinced.
okay. Well, I think I am, and so I'm going to make that change on mine. And this is going to be where, when I look at the YouTube video, and where if I scroll through, I'll see a huge spike right at the part where I'm scrolling through, where everybody is pausing and trying to look at my code. Yeah, huh.
That's funny. You can see like which parts people watch.
No, yeah, you can see
Oh,
like
yeah.
most replayed.
Oh yeah. And it's just like it's like nobody watches, nobody watches, nobody watches. Everybody is just looking at my code.
Yeah, I watched
Nobody
the whole
watches,
video, man.
nobody watches.
Because like you gotta know how to do the board.
Yeah.
They're gonna ask you how to.
Yes. And that's the other thing, it's like if you just copy what I do, you're not gonna have any idea, you're not gonna know how to demonstrate
You
it.
don't understand like how it works.
Oh wait, this is not lab 5.
That was ages ago. Oh, not funny. Was that the?
Oh, how did your makeup lab go?
They were good.
Good.
Was that
I mean,
the
the
damn coin
exponential
machine?
is messed up.
Which one was the coin machine? That one made me mad.
I don't know.
How you put 35 cents in a coin machine?
Oh yeah.
I was TA was like, you took for your 35 cents. I said, who put 35 cents in it?
Let's see, is there any way for me to scroll this so that you don't see everything? I guess I just have to pause the video. The recording back on. So all I'm saying, so this is how I set it up. I had my 9 states, so each of the 3 floors with, you get there and the door's open for another second, and then the door's closed, and then on the next cycle, it'll be at the next, whatever the next thing is, if there is something. I do want to check and make sure that I am telling it, if it's at rest, that it's staying at rest, so let me see if I'm doing that. So here, I'm on the 3rd floor with the door closed, so because my _3 is door closed, and I have, if the door is blocked, then my LEDs are a certain thing. Oh, this is just setting the LEDs. Oh, yeah. I'll come back to that in a second. Hold on. Okay, so here's how I did the next state. So here's the next state. So for floor 3, if switch 2 is set, then the next state is to go to floor 2. Else, and so it's only going to get here if floor 2 is not selected, but if floor 1 is selected, then I'll go to floor 1. Otherwise, it'll stay in floor 3 with the door closed. So I did do that. Okay, so now I'm going to compile this and see if it does what I think it does. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the general code. And I'm not saying that this is the only way or the best way or anything. It's just how I went about doing it, and after debugging it, figuring out some things that worked. What you don't want to do is have lots of different places where you're trying to assign the next state, and so, because Verilog is going to, or Xilinx is going to look at it, or Vivado is going to look at it and say, you're assigning the states in multiple places, and you can't do that. And so I have one always block where I set LEDs and the 7-segment display.
And then you have one for the next state.
And then I have one where I set the next state.
And then you have one for the clock.
And I have one for the clock. And it was in the clock. The clock is where I check for the emergency. So in the clock, the first thing I do is, if emergency, then I go to F11.
And then
Else, then the state becomes the next state.
yeah. Did you just do like initial beginning before like the whole as like the door closed?
The part you just added.
What about it?
That's what you did, right? You just did like initial.
Yes.
And then beginning.
Yeah, and I'm going to see if it works. I don't actually know if it works. I've never actually initialized it that
I
way.
just don't know Verilog syntax that well.
I don't either. So that's why I'm just trying it to see if it works. What I normally do, and it normally works, but then sometimes it doesn't, and I can't tell you why it does or doesn't, is normally I just initialize things up here like I would initialize state right here.
Mhm.
But then every once in a while, it throws an error and I can't ever, don't know why. So it's still synthesizing the design. So,
That thing takes ages. Good
It does.
Lord. That's like half the lab time.
yes, it takes forever. So let me just show you how I ended up setting things up. So because I'm super lazy, I decided my name for my switches was going to be SW because I just don't like changing the names from the template file. And
Fair enough.
I did 5 to 1 because it specified switch 1 was over here, 2, 3, and then 4. Well, I didn't say, so then there's door blocked and then this one. But since 1 was all the way over on the right,
You may as well just go with
it
that.
made sense for me to do it that
Yeah,
way.
that makes a lot of sense.
And then I also just renamed,
Is it LD, LED?
yeah.
Okay.
And the reason I changed that was because at first I didn't. So, so here with my switches, I left 1 through 4. I just used what was on there, and then we also were supposed to use the one for 15, and I just changed its name to 5. And then for LED, I tried using 7 through 11 so that I didn't have to change the numbers in here because I was like, that just seemed like but something didn't work right. And so since I was calling it since I was calling this one 1 and the constraint was 7, I didn't want to call it LED 1 while I still had this in here that I might forget about and uncomment at some point. So I changed the name to LD. So that's why I changed that. So
That's cool.
and then so LD 1 through 4, and then the last one was LD 5. Still compiling. Gosh, why is it so slow?
I just realized for all my
I mean,
LEDs,
it's
I
a laptop
put
with a
1D
computer
instead
and
of
all
LD.
that.
Oh, and that's probably not a valid name.
Yeah, I was like, why is this all yellow?
What?
For what?
For where it's like LED and stuff, I put 1D instead of L.
And then I use this button because it's just, I don't know if y'all, I know they're in the lab because the other
Yeah,
professor
yeah.
uses them.
Last time I tried to use like the other one, he's like, it's really finicky or something.
It is really finicky, and so that's why I use this one, and that one is J1. And so if you use it, it's J1, and then it's designed to not be finicky. And so I recommend that if you have this one to use it, and
You let us use a switch most of the time.
Or
yeah, I saw that you did that, and
or
I
use a
don't
switch.
like using a switch. So you certainly can use a switch, but I just don't like it. If you use this, it goes in the top row of the top
Yeah, that
left,
plug-in.
and it's the bottom right one. Okay, so now it says it's complete. Let's open Hardware Manager.
What's wrong with that actual button?
Well, I know what he just said. I guess it's hard to tell when the
It
clock
skips, like,
cycle.
clicks.
It skips. It's like
Yeah, it
sometimes you
skips.
press once and it thinks you've pressed
That's what I
twice or
said.
3
That's what I
times or
said.
something. That's called it. So this is called debounced. It's called a bounce when it does that.
Ignition. I didn't know you could just click ignition.
I don't know that you can, but someone else did. I mean, you do that in the test bench. And since you can do
Oh,
it in the
yeah.
test bench, I said, well, why? Maybe you can do that in the main. And I think I saw someone else do it, which is why I'm trying it. This is my first time trying it. And program device.
Hit program.
Yeah, they did it very well. I'll tell you what, my board was so bad. Man.
Wait, what?
In the middle of the screen.
Oh.
Yeah. Now it should.
Okay, so it did not work because either that or no, it did work. Okay, so well, let me turn it off, turn it on, and reprogram it. I had the switch for the door blocked,
Oh.
and so.
Very good.
Okay, so no, it did work because right now what it's showing me is the 7-segment display is showing 1 and it's not showing the door open. And so if I now turn the switch for floor 3. The light comes up to show that floor 3 is selected, and I press the button once, and it goes right away because it was already ready to go. It didn't have to wait 2 clock cycles, because you wait 2 clock cycles when you go to a new floor, but it didn't go to a new floor. But now, if I press floor 2, it should take me 2 clock cycles of waiting, 1, 2, 3, and then I get to the floor 2 on the next one, and that works. And emergency, now I have it that I decided that I wanted everything to be synchronous, and so in order for the emergency to actually happen, you do have to advance the clock. It only happens on the clock. It was too hard for me to figure out how to make the emergency asynchronous and everything else synchronous, and so I don't think you'd be required to do that, and y'all can blame me for that. And so
I can tell you how to do that.
yeah, so you can say, well, the SI said,
See, watch the TA take off like 2
Well,
points.
someone's gonna say.
I'll check with Dr.
The
Trahan.
TA's gonna be like, oh, that's bad.
I'll check with Dr. Trahan, and if it's not that way, but I'm pretty sure it is, because most of the examples I've seen do like what I said with that, the clock part of the code, saying, you have the if reset or whatever there. Now, the thing that I did that I thought was kind of clever, and if you watch the video, I'm sure I show it. I like being clever, is in the always block where I set the LEDs and the 7-segment display, here's how I set the LEDs. So the LEDs, there's 5 of them, and the last 3 are just equal to the value of those switches. And so for this one, it says if I'm in floor 1, I could have divided this done into 2 different ifs, if floor 1 1 or if floor 1 2. No, that wouldn't have worked, because floor 1 1 doesn't mean you're in an emergency state. So if you're in either of these floors, you're in floor 1, so you have those for your 7-segment. And then if you're in the emergency state, then you want to have the first 2 LEDs on, because the first LED is emergency and the second one is the door open. And then
else is just the door open.
else is just the door open.
So it's like, that was another thing that tripped me up. When you use like the squiggly brackets instead of regular brackets, does that matter?
Yes.
LED?
Yes. The reason, because what this does, the reason I did it this way, it's all about laziness with me. So rather than having 5 separate variables for the LEDs, I just wanted to have 1. And I wanted to be able to set them all at once. But that makes it's a 5-bit number. And so whenever I say LD equals something, I have to give it a 5-bit number. And the way to give it a 5-bit number made up of other bits is you have to concatenate them, and to do that you have to use the swirly brackets. And so if I wanted, and so since this was made, what this does is it makes a 5-bit binary number 11011. It concatenates them. So that's why I did it that way. You could also do it you can probably just say 1.
Oh, you do like that. Actually, I feel like that took us long ago.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, I know you can kind of like finesse your bits and stuff into like parameters and like vectors like that.
Yeah,
That makes
I
a lot more sense.
learned that like 2 semesters ago. And so that is equivalent to,
Yeah, same thing.
oh, except this should have been 321. So that is equivalent to this, and as a matter of fact, I'm gonna take this out, and next time I compile it, I'll just make sure that it still works. So that's what I did, just in a shorthand sort of way. And I continued with that kind of structure for all of my floors when I was setting them. So, did y'all have any other ideas, any other questions?
I just gotta go back to my, what is it called again? The state diagram and fill out like the 7-second display stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
So what I strongly suggest for those of you who are watching this video or who are at this session is that if you understand all the information that we have here, try to write it on your own before you watch my other video that does too much for you. Because you'll do better with that, and I will try over the next couple of days to get out a test bench that you can just use if you use the same variables I do, that you can use, and you can use online to check your code to see if it's working before you go into the lab. So I will try to do that, and that way you'll have your best bet is to try to write it on your own, and then if I get you this test bench, or you're welcome to come by my office and try it out for real if you want to, and that way you can, because what you will be able to do if I get the test bench written.
And you just whack it on the test bench.
Yeah, so. So.
There's a lot to think about.
So this is the way I did Lab 5, and I had a test bench for it, and this is just online, and so if you just cut and paste and put it in here, and then you can put whatever you would want to have that you'd want to test, and then you can run it and see what you get. Well, this will catch your syntax errors even without the test bench, but you can only catch the logic errors with the test bench.
Okay. You fix like your 3 syntax errors and wait like 10 minutes for it to get over it.
Yeah.
I still don't need that.
So when I was putting this together, I brought home. I almost was going to have 2 computers and 2 of these going because of how long it takes to compile. Because how many times have y'all gone to compile, and while it's compiling, you're like, wait, I want to change this too.
I'll be like, wait, I
This
need
time
to
you
change
said like
that
you only
piece.
get 5 minutes or 10 minutes to do it straight.
So
They say,
Failed you.
Did y'all get y'all's times? If you,
no, I think it's just during the lab time.
somebody has like
No,
a
some
set
TV,
sheet off
yeah,
the
but
sheet.
it's time slots.
There's a time slot.